This is step 2, creating the game specification. Earlier we saw the step 1, in which we saw that how to create the idea, how to create an emotional experience to the player, how to create the goals into the play, means whole structure of the implementation of the gameplay we have seen. Second, that is the creating the game specification, in which the detailed documentation how you have to do we see in this. So first is plan. How to plan means whatever the steps you're taking into planning of the game, you have to write in the specification. So first you have to write what type of game it is it the puzzle type of game, is it the adventure game, the story oriented game, or opponent game like race, or any kind of only discovering game. So all this is the type of the game. Okay, what is the objective of the game? You have to determine in early only that what will be the overall objective of the game, that the overall objective of the game will be scoring the points, or finding someone, or discovering something, or to gain power, to relieve someone. So that will be the objective. What feature the gameplay will have, you have to explain the features in detail. Like, you have to identify the player, you have to identify the game time. In gameplay you have to first identify the player, the game type and constraints. You have to identify the universe, you have to identify the goal. Like universe, if I'm talking, if I'm giving the example of badminton game. So what is the universe? The whatever the portion you are able to see onto your game screen is the universe, like the player, the badminton, the net, the scoreboard, leaving the audience, the ground, playing ground. It is all the universe of the game. You have to identify that universe. Also you have to identify the goal. That means what will be the goal of the game, means like gaining the scores or gaining power. All that is the goal. So you have to identify it also. Next it goes with the determining the criteria for success. That means you have to determine that how player will win. What if he is doing, then he will be declared as a winner, or what mistake is if he do, or what he is not doing, and because of that he loses. You have to write that also. That means you have to determine the criteria for each. You have to determine the rules of interaction, that how the tokens into the game will interact with each other. You have to determine the rules for it also. You have to determine the constraints to the player. You have to tell everything of your gameplay, your constraints into the game to the player. You have to tell a story to the player in the form of audio, or you can also display the leaflet to him. Then you have to determine the production and maintenance issues also, that which kind of maintenance or production issues can come. This all comes into the first step, that is the planning. Then second, it goes with the testing the concepts first you have to put down onto the paper, as we are seeing about the specification, the documentation, how you will be developing the concept and how you will be testing it. First, for testing the concept without real implementation, you have to write onto the paper. Once you write it on the paper, one kind of outline is generated. Yes, the concept will be of this type. The sketch of the gameplay, game design you get. This can help you to move ahead or to give up also, if that concept, the outline is not meeting, or after creating the outline you get the idea that no, whatever the concept we have developed, it will not work, then you can leave it also, you can give up with the idea, isn't it? So the outline, and for outline and sketching of the game, first it is required to put down everything, the concepts onto the paper, and to decide whether to move ahead or leave it. Only unique feature take into account. This will help you, as you are taking only unique feature, it will help you. This stage at and testing the concept, at this stage the technical constraints are not required that much. Only the unique features, if you take into consideration and test it, it's sufficient for testing the concept. Description of the game working is given here, and result is committed. You have to give a detailed description how the game will work, and result whatever is has to be committed here. Next, that is feature based description. Feature based description is always easy to understand, as feature you are describing here. Feature comes into account from rules. from rules. And rules, whatever you have added to your game, it keeps on changing as the detail of the game changes. For if I'm designing a game at the first stage, means when I was having only one level or two level, at that time the rules were different. But if I'm designing more levels, if I'm moving ahead in implementation, of course rules will changing. And as rule changes, what is the reason for changing? The interaction of different rules is the reason for changes. One rule is not meeting to the others requirement or constraints, you have to change the rule for the whole game. So as you develop, the changes goes on occurring, and you have to understand with the changes, and you have to go on changing with the rules, you have to go on changing with the interactions, you have to go on developing with whatever the requirement is there. Okay, then next, it is interface design. First, interface. Good interface design makes the player feel that no restrictions on the control of the game is there. Like in Candy Crush, I should say, they have designed a good interface. Whenever you're swapping that candy, you get a good feel. Yeah, you feel that, yeah, game, that is a system, is not restricting you on your play. If it gives that feel, generates a good feel, isn't it, to the player also, so that you get addicted to that play, you get addicted to the game, and you feel good in playing the other levels also. A good interface is required. Interface should efficiently handle a large number of simultaneous tasks. Interface, whatever is designed onto the game, it should be able to handle the number of tasks in a complicated strategy also. Use the list if required, means sometimes if multiple section is required, or the there is multiple things if is there, then selection should be available there. And for selection, you can use the list also with the scroll bar. Sometimes scroll bar is okay, otherwise sometimes you can use the list also there, so that multiple choice can be made. Okay, next, it is rules. Rules must serve the features. Whatever the features you have described or added into the game, rules must always serve it. It should not be like that features are moving on to the other hand and rules are going on to the other. It all should serve it. Now, at the initial stage for creating a game, when you're creating a game at initial stage, the rules have to be guessed. Yeah, this kind of rule I can keep. As the game development evolves iteratively, more and more rules are added, and these rules interact with the previous rules, and thereby making changes into them, you can make the hardcore rules for your game, which will be the final rules for your gameplay. The rules, as it is serving the features, the damage should be shared with the formation, through the formation. If one member is hurt into the game, the damage would be split to all the units in the formation, so that every of the member involved into the gameplay will be understanding about the damage, and they will be or it will be modified accordingly. Size and type of the formation also, if it is more, then the toughness will be increased. If it is less, that is size is small, the type of the formation is less, then the toughness will be not. That means size and type, the toughness of the game depends on the size and type of the formation. Next, it is the level design. It affects the core gameplay. Of course, some of the gameplay has only one or two level. The core game is accordingly. Some of the game have multiple levels, like Candy Crush, I should say, we don't know how much levels they have, means even I don't know, so that affects the core gameplay, isn't it? Level depends upon the storyline. Some of the games, like adventure type of game, I should say, there is a story, so level also depends on the storyline. And low level provides the more watching than playing. If a gameplay has a minimum number of levels, then there is more watching than playing. But if there is high level, then every of the player thinks I have to reach to some of the level, like 100th level or 1000th level, then they gives more attention onto the play rather than watching, rather than enjoying. They are focused on to achieving that goal, isn't it? Story oriented game provides more narrative characters. Of course, if there is a story, for example, like Bahubali stories, if we are giving into the gameplay, then there will be the number of characters there, isn't it? So that user involved into the game with lot of interest, handling lot of means many keys over there, handling number of characters, number of tokens, and everyone. Level should not be used to create the deficiency into the game. It is not at all like if you are creating number of levels the game will be good. No, it is not like that. But if it is a storytelling or it is a long game, then it is good to add a level over there. Okay, then accurate specification is given to the level designers to understand the rules. If accurate specification is given to the level designer, they understands how to develop or how to design the levels for the game. Primary goal creates interest in reader. Of course, if the overall goal is first only told to the user, the interest is generated, and it conveys the design aspects also without any ambiguity to the player, to the first of all I should say to the designer. Okay, interest should be always from the start till the end. It is not that yeah starting it have an interest and later on not, then you are designing, otherwise you are making of game, it will be all flawless, means flaw, means it will have no work. It's always good to add an interest from start till end. You have to keep that consistency of the interest also. Next, that is design document. In design document you have to give the brief description over here of everything, whatever you are writing or whatever you are doing into the gameplay, whatever the idea, concept, prefabs, whatever you are adding, whatever you will be do, you have to first only write into a detailed format here. First things comes here, basic concept. The basic concept, the idea should be what in basic concept, whatever you are writing there, it should be informative and interesting. The basic idea should always be in 1 or 2 pages, not more than that. Background story, if necessary, then write a background story. Like for adventure type of game the background story is required, but that only for puzzle game I will be saying. Background story is not that important, even I should say it is not at all important. The objective of the game, it should be clear. The reader should always have a clear idea, because as we are seeing the step 2 here, nothing is the implementation, all thing is onto the paper only. So objective you have to write onto the paper. Whenever you're writing the objective onto the paper, the reader should get a clear idea about what the gameplay will be, isn't it? Therefore provide as possible as details in the design document, in which the gameplay is also there, where the gameplay tells how the game will work from beginning till the end. Everything is described here, that how the game will be loaded, how the title screen will be visible, the option screen, how player will select the choices, and everything. Here everything will be given into a detail in a written format. Eighth, it is the game design other aspects. In game design there are the other aspects also. What are that? Like characters. For all the characters in the game, mention their personality, capability, and role action in the game. Like characters means whatever the action in the game have to take place, everything has to be mentioned. The different characters, their personality, their capability have to be mentioned. The world, that means the location, characters, objects, events, containing all this, it creates the world. All different scenes where action will take place and action takes place have to be described. It also adds to the world. The location, characters, objects, as said, it adds to the world. Optimum order for path is also mentioned, like from one path it is moving on to the other. This is also the world of the gameplay. Next it goes with the control. Control means buttons, keys, all these are the controls. It have to be described. Buttons can be provided on the controller in the user interface also. The state of the game is conveyed to the player. Then example like knowing the scores and all that, that also depends on the control. The navigation through the game has to be well described. This all comes under the control. Then graphics. Graphics means like grass onto the gameplay, the hard pitch, the soft pitch, all is the graphics. Sound and music. To create the impact in a game, you can add a sound or any kind of music. You can also add more real-time effect by adding a sound and music to your gameplay. Next, Next is build prototype. In building prototype, that means, what is prototype? First of all, prototype is a sample, or I should say a module. So building prototype is of the foremost important. Building prototype should be done in an order, that is the order like game section 1, game section 2 and game section 3. Before that, you have to take into consideration like building prototype, like you are creating a sample, you are creating a module. That means you are minimizing the risk. Directly implementing, it's always good to first have an model of it. If model works, then of course the real implementation will at least 90% work, isn't it? So it minimizes the risk building a prototype. Get the client feedback in development process also, so that while developing a model, if you are getting the client feedback, you can understand that what the real feedback while developing, in implementing in real you will get. Help, that means prototype helps you to visualize the end product, and also it gives you the flexibility that what kind of changes you can make in the real implementation. So the building prototype, as it follows the order, we will be seeing first for the game section 1. In game section 1, first you have to create the environment should be set up for the game. There you can give the option to play or exit. This is the game section 1. This is the prior most important. First, environment you have to set up, you have to give the option for play and exit. It is the minimum. If player is not playing means not playing a game also, but at least the minimum requirement is the button or the option for play and the option for exit. Then if input is required, then it the request to enter the input, it is the foremost thing, so that your game should able to accept the input. Then input, whatever the player is giving to the gameplay, that should be stored and viewed, so that accordingly the action will be taken place and it will be written onto the screen as the output to the player. In game section 2, the game state is changed according to the user last input. As I've said, whatever the input you will giving, for example, if I'm giving the input for firing, so as I fire from with using a gun, the action or some of the what I should say, some of the action should take place, isn't it? So that action taking place, it will be the output for my first input. So game state changes according to the user last input, and that comes under the game section 2. AI is applied here for players action. Then background animation, music, sound effects, everything has to be performed here. Finally, the housekeeping is also done here. Housekeeping means whatever the input you are giving, it has to be stored into a database, and accordingly you have to write for which kind of action, for which kind of input, which kind of action or output will be generated. In game section 3, game state according to the last input, as we have seen. In game section 3, current animation is drawn into a virtual buffer first, and then it is displayed frame by frame according to the rate and locked accordingly. State source are released here. If exit state is there, then sources are released here. System settings are restored in the game section 3, and control is given to the operating system. That means I should say for entering into the game, we can go with the game section 1. For playing, that is the mid position, it is the game section 2, and at last it is the game section 3. That means game section 3 is written or taken into consideration always for designing the last, that is the ending or exit of the game. Here you have to write the exit state. You have, if you are exiting from the game, then control should be written to its original places. That is, means the reset option should be there. System settings should be reset. Control should all given back to the operating system, not to the game app or the game environment. Okay, so everything is done in the game section 3. Then lastly, it goes with the life cycle model. So in life cycle model, there is the rapid prototyping before specification. Life cycle model, that means you have to see whatever in a gameplay you have designed in one. So what you will be doing, you will be doing a rapid prototyping. Rapid prototyping phase before specification is very popular nowadays. It is a good technique. Then building the game involves implementation. Of course, you are implementing the game now you are not in that. It involves a real implementation, integration in repeated blocks. Agile extreme programming is also there, and development process. Agile extreme programming involves agile, that means a big, that will you will require a team based and collaborative approach here will be done. Then hardly any documentation is required, because it is a big team, you can't write everything, you have to deal on time, you have to deal with everyone in a team, so hardly any documentation is required here. Integration of testing into development process you can do, that means as you are developing, side by side the testing also can be done, so that it will help you. Otherwise you will have a pile of development, and after that if you are moving on to the testing phase, it can create some kind of hodgepodge, or I should say a time consuming. It's better to integrate the testing into a development process itself. Next, it is the development process. In development process, first it goes with building prototype. It's always there, building prototype, build a model, and then get into a development side. Ask other people to look at the game, how they feel, because always a developer sees that yeah it is good, but what the other people thinks, that is like a feedback, it helps you in development process. Carefully observing the player, it also involves in development process, so that how the player moves, that will help to understand the strategy of the player also. Then rewarding the player in the game, how to reward it, using new testers, then taking the game to the next level, how to take it, everything involves into the development process. So that means the good design are not always with the high level designing, it is both high level designing, that means an architecture level designing also, and low level designing also. So this was all about the detailed description, that means the step 2, creating the game specification. With this we are ending with